hair. The problem is if you don't get that cap on properly and the tucking of the hair back up in there, it's going to fall off on you and the hair is going to come out. And that's going to create an element of drag, and that's going to be a frustration. Myself, you know what? Men's haircut, I still, when I swim, I'll wear 2 swim caps because I want to squeeze out all of the available air so I never worry about that cap coming off. Because my goggles are outside of that cap, and as soon as I lose eyesight, now I am in trouble. I'm a good swimmer, but as soon as I lose my goggles, now I'm thinking about negative things instead of getting after it.
Make sure, Sean, keep that cap on top of your head before you get started.
I'd still recommend, I'd recommend Sean wear 2 caps.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See Bethany Shaver right there. Now, I like the way Bethany looks, very comfortable. Nice good pull. She doesn't look like she's overextending herself necessarily. Danny Spiegel right behind her in the all black looks much more relaxed. I think she's really trying to use her legs a lot more. You see her really leaning in, trying to get as much distance and length on that table as she can.
But what's beautiful, but what Danny Spiegel's doing is she's doing her own strategy. She's got a slower stroke rate. Let's face it, Danny Spiegel has a tremendous amount of power. And so use that to your advantage in this event. This assault air rower actually can generate more speed at that low stroke rate. So if you have the power and strength to be able to do what Danny Spiegel's doing, it's going to be an advantage.
Spiegel and Shackler are tied for third right now, 334 points, and their days yesterday were mirror images of each other. Shackler started out with 16 plays in a third. Spiegel started with a second, and then finished with 16.
And I think it's great that they're sitting right next to each other, knowing that they're tied up, knowing that they need to put some distance between themselves. Because again, it's a movie day, so they have to start, like you're talking, because they need to start taking a little bit of a risk here.
Erica Lowen is in the red, closest to the camera. She currently sits in 7th place overall with 307 points, so she's only 7 back with Casey Dobbs in 5th. And 27 back with Danny Spiegel and Shackler. Where's having some top 40.
You were talking about equipment there, Chris. I don't see a cap. With Ariel, I see a long ponytail. I don't see a cap anywhere.
Maybe it's not behind the short but with that hair, yeah. I mean, part of it is like we were talking about earlier. I would wear a speedo when I'm looking for every advantage and water drag. You want to minimize that. So we were talking earlier about the difference between these equipment, and we made that major mention that this is a different type of device than Concept 2. One of the big differences is that it's tall. It's about 2 inches taller, that rail, from a Concept 2. And so it takes some getting used to. The other thing also is that the feet placement is a little bit higher.
Look at the tall dude. Moving 2. Out of the rower. Wow.
1.
You saw some other judges' hands in the air, but one of them was on Ellie Turner. Emma Tall, 6th place overall, and she has a bit of momentum, a 3rd and a 4th on day number 2. Climbing up here, here comes Bethany Shapron. There's Emily Ross.
And I expected her to be kind of up there in the mix for sure. She's so great with endurance events, and with swimming events too. So I'm thinking that we're going to see Emily kind of creep her way up into the standings before they get to that area.
But I would be concerned about Bethany Shackler. When she gets on that runner, she's going to go.
Yeah.
She's going to go.
I was talking to her coach Justin Kotler before last season, and he said to me, you'd be surprised with how good of an engine she really has.
It's phenomenal. I mean, she was in that West Coast Classic, that rough event. I mean, it was obvious who was going to win on that first lap.
Let's go down to Jamie, who is there where the athletes are getting into the water. Jamie?
The women are making their way down that ramp, sprinting down there, heading into that water. I was able to talk to Emily Wall before this. She was really looking forward to this event. She did talk about having to push that on the roller because you do not want to be the ones in the back of that pack getting jammed up at this ramp, and especially not in the back of a pack in the swimming. So looking to get ahead on the roller to be one of the first ones in the water was a huge advantage.
You know, I think as far as Wadapalooza goes, this is one of the shorter events on the swimming side that they've ever had. You know, I heard you talking about on the team division that it was nice that they had that because it's a safe way to bring people out to Miami and make sure they can do that. It's interesting that even on this short amount of distance, I mean, you're talking, what do you think, 3 minutes? If they're talking, it's 250, maybe 300 meters, something like that.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Now, you, as a good swimmer, you can make up 30 seconds to a minute compared to who you have to compete with. And I think that, you know, we would see some of those athletes that you kind of have to go 2 ways off that rower. I know I'm not a good swimmer, so I need to at least get in the water and have a little bit of a buffer. And I don't know, one of the ways, that is the way I do it, Chris, is you can kind of tell who the good swimmer is going to be, how they enter the water. A lot of belly flops or pinching the noses or whatever versus the nice dives. Yep. But then you want to see, you know, it's who's going to have this nice relaxing stroke. So if you're a good swimmer, you can make up a lot of time and still be, I mean, almost an active recovery in this area if you know how to breathe.
Totally agree with you. You know, in the Ironman in Kona, it's a 2.4 mile ocean swim, and I came from a swimming background, and I never understood as a kid, what was the point? It seems like a total waste of time. And it's only an hour. Like, and that's the truth, is that if you are a decent swimmer, this is going to relax you. And it's almost like a way to reframe what you're about to go into. The whole time during the swim, it's like, I'm going to recover, and then I'm going to hit the gas again. And that's the advantage of being a good swimmer.
But the other thing I think that's important to note is, you know, a lot of these athletes, if they don't have the ocean right next to them, they're going to be in either a lake, which is usually some fairly controlled water, or indoor. Well, look at the chalk that's on the water. So, I mean, we don't necessarily have waves as if it was like a beach break, but you have a lot of chalk. It is choppy out there with all those boats, and so that changes your stroke. And, you know, with everything, it seems like in these events, any little minor change, just like you were talking about where we is higher, any little just like that gets you out of your normal routine, and now all of a sudden you start to think about it. And when you think about it, you feel it a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie, Sean, I saw a 12-foot beluga out there when I was walking over to do the death show. So there are animals out there, and just that fear, you know, of being in people's heads is going to freak them out and changes what they've been doing with them.
That's it. You're correct on that. And you know, for me, being a swimmer, I don't think about sharks in the water. But non-swimmers, 100% do.
That's the last thing you want to be thinking about when you're in the water.
Well, because I think it is that if you're a swimmer, you're never going to be in last place, and the shark's going to get the person in last place.
Look at the way she was falling. Her head comes up, so she's not changing her body weight on her head rate stuff, and then she goes to the side. That keeps her nice and flat in the water, get that nice roll rotation. Really can keep that nice focusing on that entry.
Perfect sighting. I mean, the way that you need to sight is that you sight when that hand goes in. So it's your breathing hand. So she's breathing on the right hand side. When that right hand hits the water, it's going to put pressure on the water. When you feel the pressure on the water, you knock your arm out of the water, you get your vision, it goes back down, and then you breathe. So what you want to do is feel the pressure, and that pressure allows the head to naturally rise. The key is that when you are sighting, you do not want that head to go up high. The higher the head goes, the more the hips sink and the slower you go. The key is 4 shallow head height. 3, keep it low. 2,
A little hard to tell who is. That's Emma Tall, who was the first woman into the water after completing the row, the 2,000 meter row. Now she's got to do 2,000 meters on the air runner, and Ellie Turner.
she's got the last one in the sunshine.
I'll take that back. They're not letting them go based on their overall standing that they did with the teams. So it's first come, first serve. Emma Tall is on the right. We will try to figure out who's on the left there.
Chris, when you make this transition from the water to also have to go to a run, I know that in triathlon, bro, you have a nice little transition where you can kind of, you know, either pull it off your wetsuit or put your shoes on or whatever. What's that tempo?
We just jump in there, go really fast. It's Lucy Campbell who's on the left, and then Emma Tall on the right. So Lucy Campbell, the first woman out of the water. Now we're third athlete coming out of the water.
You know, Bill, they should all be accelerating their kick with the last 30 seconds to go in the swim. All of the blood the strength is sitting in the shoulders. You need to transfer it to the legs. And the way to do it is accelerate your kick in the last 30 seconds so that when you stand, the blood is already in the legs.
Here comes Paige Powers.
Good for her.
Emma Tall, Lucy Campbell, Bethany Shackers out, Emily Rolfe are all getting out of the water. Julia Cato, who's tied for 31st, she was one of the first women out of the water as well.
So Bethany Shackern started 1:33 seconds behind the leaders. That's a lot of time to make up. A lot.
I'll tell you, I think she's in a great position being right next to Emily Rolfe. We saw Emily in the games. One of the events that she did really well in was those long runs. So she's able to have a nice pace. So I think for both of those athletes, it's really going to go well for them because they'll be able to pace off each other.
We mentioned Lucy Campbell is more winner coming out of the water here. She's 9th overall, so inside the top 10 with 272 points. Looking to work her way up the standings and maybe get into this ranking position for a spot inside the top 5.
We see him waking up.
Yeah, point this out, and Ellie Turner goes out after her. So Ellie Turner, I think your overall leader, with a 36-point lead over Ellie Point. These are your first two women out. Lucy Campbell's on the left, and then Emma Tall is on the right. So we've been watching our coverage all day for the teams. They slumped them based on where they were in the overall standings. They are not doing that with the individuals. It's whoever gets out first goes to the far right. They just fill in behind that athlete. 2,000 meters in and complete here.
Lucy on the left-hand side of your screen in all black looks very comfortable.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's got I don't want to say she has a high pace, compared to what other tall has, but I love the tempo. She's great.
So here's the overall standings. Ellie Turner overall leader to take a look at Paige Powell. We're being told that Bethany Shackler, coming time with Danny Spiegel, has overtaken Tall and Campbell for the lead right now. Emily Rolfe next to her. Emily Rolfe always dangerous when it comes to the longer distance run. And also ahead is Bethany Shackler with two in the front in the overall standings. There is Ellie Turner, the overall leader. She got out of the water about the same time as Emily Point.
She has that nice padded point wise also. So I mean, all she has to do is kind of stay up full stop. She's going to be a great distance.
Let's stay relaxed, look at that head position, your chin parallel to the ground, moves forward. She's focused, her head's in the game. Yeah, she's really trying to calm it down. She knows she's got a long ways to go. Looks good. Shoulders, look at the shoulders. They're very relaxed. That nice drop, that V that she's created, it's a sign that she is relaxed. She's not strained, stressed. She looks good right now. Look at her hands, nice and relaxed.
So we were talking about that difference of how you're going to switch. You're not used to running barefoot. How you're going to change your. What is that straight track going to do when you're barefoot there, Chris?
So what's interesting about the slope of the air runner is that the higher you go, the bigger that slope actually becomes. Short athletes, they don't get much benefit of that slope. Long, tall athletes, it could be a 16% incline when their foot hits the ground, and they can ride that big 16% slope down to the bottom of the arc. When an athlete has no shoes on, there is a real high tendency to want to land on the ball with the foot because they're afraid they're going to damage the heel, bruise the heel. Let's face it, the heel is not a shock-absorbing piece of equipment. So what happens is that you're going to pull out the quads. Landing on the ball of the foot is going to force you to be more quad dominant.
Danny Spiegel is 8th out of the water. Tied with Bethany Shackler for third. So Shackler has a lead right now on Spiegel. Trying to separate herself from that race for the final spot of the podium right now. Shackler and Spiegel trying through the
That was really smart of Danny Spiegel. You saw her shaking out her arms. The reason why that's important is because your arms, if they're tight, if they're stressed, if your shoulders are rising, it will shrink your stride length, and your stride length will become a natural, it will become a naturally short. Shaking out the arms, relaxing the shoulders allows the stride length to open. She is just trying to find a sustainable speed. And by relaxing the shoulders,